What's up, witches? Claudia here. Just jumping on because I completely forgot to do a trigger warning for this episode. And so the trigger warning today is a mention of suicide. Just in the first ghost story, we mention suicide. We don't go into any details. But regardless, if this is something that you can't listen to, absolutely no worries. Look after yourself and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the episode. Remember when we're talking about morality of murder?
Yeah, I know. And here's me being like, highway men are the ultimate bad boys, you know?
What's up, witches? It's Claudia here, and I have some exciting news. Finally, we have created a Patreon. So you can find us at patreon.com/truecrimecovenpod. At the moment, there is only one tier. It's the familiar tier, and it's just where you can chuck us £1 just to help keep us going every month. We aim to expand on this and create new tiers and exciting content. But for now, if you'd like to support us in this way, please do go ahead. That's patreon.com/truecrimecovenpod. Enjoy the episode, guys. What's up, witches? Hi, I'm Claudia.
And I'm Emma.
And welcome to True Crime Coven. So, hi Emma.
Hello there, how are you?
I am good, how are you?
I am good, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm really honoured. I have been a fan of yours for about a year now, I think.
I feel like I'm maybe more honoured because true crime podcasts are such a serious enterprise, do you know what I mean? And we've just had a conversation off air about like, you know, the ethics of true crime. And like I was saying to you, I think that you guys do a great job of exploring true crime ethically. So I do feel very honoured to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You. No, we are so happy to have you here whilst Jess is doing important things like giving birth and being a mother.
Oh, how inconsiderate, honestly.
I know. The same year we decided to do a podcast, really?
She needs to get her priorities in order.
I think she does. I will be talking to her, don't worry.
You can say the podcast is your baby now.
Exactly. So yeah, I think when I discovered your podcast, I was like binging Sims at the time.
Oh, that's a vibe.
Yeah, we all go through phases of The Sims.
Yeah.
And it was dark outside and it'd be like 4 a.m. because I have no sense of time. And like my boyfriend would be asleep and I'd be sat there like doing the Sims house listening to ghost stories and I'd be really creeped out and then I'd be like, okay, back to my gay bar that I'm creating on The Sims.
That sounds like really important work that you were doing at 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I can see why you were up all night.
I was making, The Sims doesn't have anywhere for, inclusivity.
No, so you need to make it.
Yeah, it was a beautiful rainbow bar. I had so much custom content.
Do you do that thing with The Sims where, I mean, I do this every time. So, maybe once a year, I'm like, oh my God. And I have the urge to play The Sims. But all I do on The Sims is build a house. And then when it comes to actually playing, I'm like, oh, well, this is fucking boring. I've built the house now. The house is stunning. I feel like it's psychologically, it's probably some sort of reflection of like wanting to have like roots and settle down
like
and
nesting,
all that.
Isn't it?
But instead of actually doing all those things, I just play The Sims instead.
Yeah, and every time I create a new person who looks very similar to the other person I created.
Oh, yeah. I think I've created the same sim like for years. I have a friend who has had the same generations of Sims since she has owned the game. So for literally 12 years. She's had the same Sims family.
That is commitment. That is commitment that I can't even understand. I did once do that. I once had a family and I was so proud that they started off with nothing and then she had a husband and then she had a bigger house and she moved to another house and I was so proud of myself and then the game messed up, wouldn't play them anymore and I've never felt so betrayed.
Oh, you see, and I was saying to my friend, I was like, surely you were like mother loading the shit out of it. She was like, no. I don't cheat in games. I was like,
I don't cheat.
Oh my, like, who are you? This is pathological. You have the same family, the same generations of this family alive for like 15 years. Is
she very organised in life?
Yes, she is incredibly organised. Yeah, sometimes I look at us and I'm like, how are we friends? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do that with Jess, bless her heart. She's like, you know, been with her husband for forever. They got married, they've got a house, having a baby. And I look at my life and the trajectory I've been on.
But does she have ferrets?
She doesn't, but she does have two cats.
You see, one up for you for the ferrets. So.
True. They are
you win
smelly
that round.
And noisy, but they are cute.
They are cute and clever. I like them a lot.
Yeah, well, thank you. I just wondered if you'd like to tell everyone a little bit about Real Life Ghost Stories, your podcast, and a bit about your content.
Hello. So yes, I'm Emma, and I host a podcast called Real Life Ghost Stories, which delves into, you might have guessed it, real life ghost stories. It's interesting. Anytime I tell people that in real life, like today, I had an appointment this morning and the woman was like, what do you do? And I said, I'm a podcaster and I have a podcast called Real Life Ghost Stories. And she was like, Real Life Goat Stories? Is there much of a market for goat podcasts? And I was like, no, ghost story. Although there probably is a market for goat podcasts. And I immediately filed that away as ideas to be explored at a later date, you know. So I tell ghost stories. I release 3 episodes a week. 2 episodes are listener stories where people submit their own spooky goings on, and then on a Sunday I release like a deep dive into a famous or historical case or haunting. And I've been doing that for the last 4 years. Which is a long time.
I didn't know it had been 4 years.
Yeah, since 2018, October 2018.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And what a great time to start October.
I know. I see. Another testament to how disorganized I am. I released the first episode on like the 2nd of November. I didn't kind of make the connection between like, wow, wouldn't it be really cool if Halloween was our release date? Woo! No, it didn't even cross my mind.
You were just like, I'm going to do it. And when
I'm
going to
do it. And then here I am, 4 years later, nearly 5 years, dear Lord. But yes, so it's been a long time. And if that's your vibe, if you have a bit of spooky content, you can find real life ghost, not goat, real life ghost stories anywhere that you get your podcasts.
Where you're listening right now, go and check it out.
Yeah, do. Please do. I'd love to hear from you. You
have made such a good podcast. And then your community's really great on Facebook as well.
Yeah, bless them. Yes, it is a very nice community. I always get visions of it like crumbling from the inside and like it turning toxic and everybody fighting each other and like, but it hasn't gotten, touch wood, it hasn't gotten to that point yet, and I hope it stays that way. But I think we've got a pretty good system of like recognizing the need to just be nice to each other in the Facebook group and stuff. And the Facebook group has been going for the last 4 years and it hasn't imploded yet. So
no, and general rule of thumb in life and in Facebook groups and just in general, don't be a dick.
Yeah, just don't be a dick and then everybody will be fine.
Yeah. Also, a massive congratulations on your recent wins.
Thanks very much.
You got, so it was third, wasn't it, in both the British Podcast Awards and Irish Podcast Awards?
Yes.
On the Listener's Choice categories, was it?
Yes. So a little insight into the world of like podcast awards. You have to submit yourself into the podcast awards. So they don't call you up and go like, we'd like to submit you to like, you know, best true crime or whatever. You have to submit yourself and then they choose through the submissions. I forgot to submit Real Life Ghost Stories to both the British and the Irish Podcast Awards, and I was like, oh god damn it, why do I do this every year? I miss it every year. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to ask people to vote in the Listener's Choice Award. Didn't go to the British Podcast Awards, like just didn't show up because I was like, oh, I can't really be bothered. And Idris Elba was there. And
oh my God.
I don't want to be dramatic, but I feel like that was mine and Idris Elba's like serendipity moment, and we could have been together.
My mum would have fought you for him, but
I'd fight her. I'll fight your mum. I don't care. I will do it. But I did go to the Irish Podcast Awards. It was only like a couple of weeks ago, and it was great, and I was very, very happy to come third.
Yeah,
I was delighted with myself. So yeah,
you should be. It's amazing.
And if you are listening to this, whenever those award votey things come around, do make sure that you vote for like True Crime Coven, you know, vote for any indie podcast that you listen to, because we have it hard out here, you know. It's tough when you're up against like the likes of the kind of BBC Sounds, Wondery, all of the big guns who have all this money for advertising and marketing and etc. etc. So if you are listening and you're in a position to do that, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, because obviously, like, stuff like Uncanny, they're great podcasts, but they don't need the award in the same way we do.
Give it to me.
Yeah, I want that. Yeah, we asked people to vote for us, not in any way that we thought we'd ever win, and obviously we didn't. We probably came bottom of the pile, but it's just getting your name out there. And I remember you saying you never know who's looking at those and thinking, oh, I could check that out.
Yeah, you genuinely never know. You never know who's listening. You never know, if somebody, whoever is filtering through all of the emails, all of the results, somebody's going to be scanning through that and going, oh, I wonder who came where.
Yeah, exactly.
And it might be that somebody goes, oh, True Crime Coven, haven't heard of them. True crime is, it's a big deal at the moment. Let's check them out. So it really does help people.
It can't hurt, and it takes 2 minutes. And just, any indie podcast that you like, it will mean so much to them in every way that you don't know and you do know. But no, well done. It's honestly amazing. And so obviously you're from Ireland.
I sure am.
And I believe you currently live in Kent.
I do. I live in Canterbury, so I live in the southeast. I've lived here for the last 10 years. Ooh. August was my 10-year anniversary of living here. I was like, oh, I've been here for so long.
Do you like it?
Oh, I do. I love it. I love Canterbury.
Have to, it's 10 years.
I do that thing where every time I go to London, because I'm really close to London, I'm only 50 minutes away on the train. So every time I go into London, I'm like, that's it. I'm moving to London. I'm going to sell my soul to the devil and move to London, because it's the only way I'd be able to afford it, obviously.
1 second, Peach is being Peach.
Obviously. Peach is also like, I'm moving to London.
She's lived in London. Oh, no, she hasn't. Tell a lie. Right, oh, God, now Truffle's up.
Oh, look at them wriggling around in the background.
Truffle, if you poo by that door. Thank you. Cage.
Oh, I love them wriggling around in the back. They're so cute. They're like worms with legs.
Cat snakes.
That's exactly what they are.
Oh, bless you. Get up. Okay, I think we're fine. Maybe. Oh. This is what we compete with every week. I'm so sorry.
I don't apologise. Never apologise for ferrets.
You were mid-flow about Canterbury and London. Right, Truffle, have water, and then I'll have water too. My fizzy water, which is always a bit divisive.
I love it. Sparkling water is the bee's knees. I have a soda stream for that reason.
I do too, but I haven't refilled it in 2 years, which is...
I get very judgmental of people who don't like sparkling water. I'm like, why?
They're like,
what's wrong with you?
I don't like spicy food, so I find it funny when people like spicy food but don't like sparkling water, and they're like, it's like spicy water. I'm like, first of all, it's not. And secondly, you like pain, but you don't like sparkling water. And
sparkling water is it really is from God. Come on.
Exactly. And it's my favourite fizzy drink, and it's healthy.
Yeah, me too. I love a bit of sparkling water. It makes me very happy.
All right, Truffle, are you going to be good? Yeah, okay. Sorry, you were mid... go from wherever you think is best. I'm so sorry.
I'm trying to remember.
Sell your soul.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so I'm only 50 minutes away from London by train, so I spend quite a bit of time up there. But every time I go up to London, I'm like, I want to live there. I'm gonna live here, and I'm going to go to the theatre every night, and it will be a wonderful... beautiful existence, and I'll just have to sell my soul to the devil in order to be able to afford it, because obviously it's £1 billion to live in London. But yeah, so Canterbury's kind of a good alternative, because it's close enough to London and it's a cute little city.
It is.
And I've been here for a long time.
I used to go to drag shows in Canterbury.
Did
sometimes.
You?
Yeah. So I'm originally from London Kent border, Bromley.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd always say I'm a Londoner because, of course. But in that same vein, it's like an hour's drive to Canterbury, I think.
Yeah, it's not far at all.
No, and my friend went to Canterbury Uni as well, so yeah, I've been there a few times, and I used to go to drag shows there back when I was very obsessed with drag queens.
Tokyo Tea Rooms? Was that where you would have gone?
It was another one, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was called. But a girl once beat me up in there. It was very, very dramatic.
Oh, okay, well that's not a vibe.
Yeah, no, it was fine. I don't think it was a reflection on Canterbury. I think it was a reflection on drugs. But
that too.
Now I currently live in Bristol. I don't know if you knew.
I did know.
I do live in Bristol now, and as you can hear from Jess, she clearly comes from Bristol.
Oh, her accent gives me life. I love it so much.
Honestly, she's so Bristolian, bless her heart. Have you ever ventured this way?
No, I have not. I've never been to Bristol. The most I know about Bristol is that I watched Outlaws.
Okay, yeah.
That's about as much as I've got.
What about Skins? Skins was Bristol.
Oh, was Skins Bristol? Oh no, actually talking about Skins gives me a bit of PTSD. Like, I wanted to be Effie Stoneham so much.
I wanted to be Cassie.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was so problematic, but I also really wanted to be Cassie too.
I used to say wow all the time when I had gold shoes and stuff.
Oh God, she used to wear watches on her ankles and stuff. Do you remember that? And like, oh God, and I thought she was the coolest thing.
She was actually very mentally unwell, bless her heart.
Yeah, and I did not recognise that when I was a kid. I was like,
no,
wow,
because they romanticised it.
Yeah, completely.
Skins was definitely, it was everything I thought house parties were going to be.
Oh yeah, and like, I honestly used to watch Skins and be like, are other people's lives like this?
Am I boring?
Like, I drink a lot. Why is my life not like this?
Why am I not waking up in a field? Well, I thought today it seemed fitting to tell you some Bristol ghost stories and lore.
Oh, I'm here for it. I love a bit of local lore. It makes me so happy.
It also, and I shouldn't really admit this, but it gave me a chance to research this town that I've lived in for 4 years. Yeah,
but sometimes you need an excuse though. You need a reason, you know? You don't ordinarily do it.
Yeah, it's a bit like Colston. Didn't know who he was until, which is very privileged of me, didn't know who he was until he came down. Do you remember that?
No.
Do you not? When Colston got put in the river.
Oh, no. Yes, I do. Did not make that connection. Yeah. No, and I wouldn't have known either. Again, very privileged of me. Had no idea. Watched the whole thing and was like, woo!
Yeah, exactly. I was literally 10 minutes away from, like, I was in the Black Lives Matter protest.
Yeah.
And I wasn't far from when they took it down. Completely didn't know it happened.
But it is funny because you have all of these things and it's the same in Canterbury. You know, I've lived here for 10 years and there's so many things that, like, when my family come and visit or whatever, they're like, oh, we went to this really cute little museum. And I'm like, where?
Yeah.
Where is that? Because
it's only when you show people around that you're like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. It's such an odd phenomenon about living your hometown. You just end up knowing so little about it.
Exactly. It's like I've never been to the Tower of London despite living in London.
Oh, have I been? Yeah, I've only been... I actually don't know if I have been.
I need to go. I really want to go. I love the Ravens.
Let's make a road trip. To the Tower of London.
So, are you ready for some West Country ghosts? That's my best go at an accent.
Better than mine, so I loved it.
So, important to know, in the first story, I'm not going to say the name of the place just because I haven't got permission, but it's very easy to find it online if you're a bit curious about it. So the first story I have today takes place in a hotel in Bristol. Built in 1760, the Grand Building was originally a large private home to a wealthy merchant and had its own chapel on the grounds. In the mid-19th century, an extension was built which became the site of a nunnery and a school for girls. Naturally, the nuns ran both the school and the chapel. Rumour has it that one of the young nuns fell pregnant during her time there, and sadly she was so distraught and worried about the backlash from her peers and the community that she took her own life. When the other nuns found her body, they feared the scandal that would surely follow from such events, and so, instead of giving her the proper burial she deserved, they covered up what had happened by bricking up her corpse in an alcove. This was often considered no more than a scary story. That was until World War II, when part of the building was damaged by a bomb and the remains of a long-dead skeleton were found within the rubble by builders. And this was when the haunting would start. Her ghost is said to be seen climbing up stairs that no longer exist while she weeps. Guests today in the hotel can often hear disembodied voices too, as well as their names being called out or even whispered gently to them. Allegedly, bathtubs even fill themselves up with water sometimes, and some unlucky guests even experience the feeling of someone, or something, pressing down on their chests as they sleep. And finally, the most haunted room of the hotel is said to be room 160, where those staying within have reported the apparition of a figure in a brown robe. Could this perhaps be a monk associated with the building's religious history? All in all, It is said to be the most haunted hotel in Bristol, and it's easy to see why, considering its tragic past and with it being a large old building. What could be a more perfect setting for a ghost story or two?
Stories about nuns in that situation, in that predicament, make me so sad. Because even though there's an element of it that's like, there's nuns bricked into alcoves fucking all over the UK, according to ghost stories. You know, but every so often you do come across stories where, you know, this stuff did happen. Like, this stuff did happen to these women. And like, as somebody who grew up in Catholic Ireland, like, getting a nun getting pregnant, I mean, an easier option for that nun was to take their own life. It was an easier option for them.
Wasn't worth living anymore.
No, it wasn't worth it. You had absolutely destroyed every ounce of credibility you had within your community and within wider society. So, you know, it was easier to just take your own life. And like, I do think that, you know, to avoid a scandal for the Catholic Church, you know, that it was sometimes easier to just get rid of the bodies in an easier way and never speak about it again.
Yeah. It's done and dusted.
And that's no tea, no shade to anybody who is listening to this who's Catholic.
No, of course not.
I think like I always try and make the distinction that like you can have Catholic beliefs and also recognise that the Catholic Church has done some fucking awful things, you know?
Exactly. And I think that's only natural to not anything that you're a part of that's part of something bigger. You're not going to necessarily agree with every aspect of it. No,
not at all. Like I was raised Catholic. I don't identify as Catholic anymore. But I was raised Catholic, so I understand, you know, that it's very important to a lot of people, and might be some people listening who do subscribe to the church. But like, those nun stories make me really sad.
I know.
But just stop with the haunting bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, move on.
But you can run me a bath if you want. I'm down for that.
Is it the right temperature though?
That's the thing. Like, knowing my luck, I'd be like, oh, the bath's run. Oh, it's cold.
See, that's it. I feel like a ghost nun would inevitably run you a cold bath.
Yeah, to be fair, it's not going to be a nice warm bath with bubbles, is it?
No, there's not going to be a lush bath bomb in there. There just isn't. It's not going to happen.
No, and what's the point of a bath without a lush bath bomb?
No, really, like that is the question of life. If you don't have a bath bomb.
Yeah, have you even had a bath if you don't post a photo of your legs in the bath on Instagram?
And the bath or a boomerang of the bath bomb going into the bath.
Exactly, these are things that have to be done.
Imagine you're posting your boomerang of the lush bath bomb going into the bath, and there's just an apparition of a nun in the background.
I don't know if this is something that will make it into the podcast, and if it does, enjoy everyone. But I once posted, when I had Snapchat years ago, I once posted a picture of my legs in the bath. No,
I already know where this is going.
And I didn't see that my full frontal lady parts were in that, and it went on my story. And I then set my phone down, was like, not going to be on my phone in the bath. And 40 minutes later...
Your vagina was on Snapchat for 40 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, and like people's boyfriends saw it, like friends' boyfriends.
No. But look, you know, I'd just be like, you could pay good money for that on OnlyFans, so you got it for free, babe. Okay, just accept it.
I like went back to my phone, like, why have I got so many notifications? Oh my god, my legs must have looked great. Oh, jeez.
Hopefully your friends were like, babe, ringing you frantically, being like, you
put it on completely silent.
Oh.
I put it on like do not disturb. Like, I was like enjoying my bath.
Oh, that actually brings me such joy because it's so funny. I think like younger me, like, you know, how old am I? 32. When I was in my early 20s, I would have felt like that was the end of my world. But as a 32-year-old woman now, if I did it, I'd be like, oh, fucking Jesus, Emma. Yeah. But I wouldn't be particularly concerned about it.
I was like probably 24.
Oh yeah, then I would have been like, oh dear God.
I think I took it quite well. I think I did.
Fair play to you. Was it a good bath bomb though? That's the question.
Oh, you know what? I can't remember. I think my vagina stole the show.
Yeah, I think the bath bomb was probably overshadowed by the vagina, to be fair.
We are not naming this episode that, even though I kind of want to. My vagina stole the show.
I mean, listen, it did.
It did.
And it's stealing the show right now. We're still talking about it.
It's got to stay in, hasn't it? Oh, Jesus. Well, I guess on that note, we will go to story 2. And there's a ferret around somewhere. Where are you? Truffle, what are you doing? Come say hi then.
Oh, look at his little face.
You okay? She doesn't like humans. She doesn't hurt us, but she's just she's never bitten, but she's just not fazed by humans. She's like,
oh, you're so annoying. She's like, just leave me alone. But look at that little tiny face.
But she loves Busby.
Oh, I just want to smush her little face.
She's very cute. She just doesn't care for us. We're annoyances, if anything.
Fair, you can accept that, you know.
My second story comes from an affluent part of Bristol known as Clifton. Today, Clifton is a well-kept, expensive part of town, situated to the north of Bristol. There you can find Pembroke Road, now a leafy street lined with grand old houses, mostly converted into flats, with high ceilings and beautiful period features. However, in the past, this road wasn't always so quaint and beautiful. It used to be known as Gallows Acre Lane, and the nearby Clifton Downs, where Bristolians and tourists alike can today enjoy a stroll with a view, was once a dangerous place. Pitch black at night, highwaymen would frequent the Downs and terrorise those they ran into. The most notorious of these was perhaps a Welshman named Jenkins Petherill, who lived during the 1870s. Standing at under 4 foot tall, Jenkins would pose as an injured or lost child, then rob, stab, and sometimes murder those who stopped to help him. Thankfully, he was caught in 1873, and for his crimes was hanged on the site of them at the top of Pembroke Road. His body was hung with chains and reportedly covered in tar and left out to rot to serve as a warning to other highwaymen and would-be criminals. But this would not be the end of Jenkins' tormenting of Bristol, as apparently his ghost would be seen to climb down from the gibbet and haunt the area. He could sometimes even be seen dancing in the moonlight. This would continue until his body was finally buried at the top of Pembroke Road, where he was hung up. Today, this is a grass junction, and rumour has it he still haunts Pembroke Road from time to time. So beware if you're travelling at night around those parts, and watch out for the ghost of Jenkins Petherill.
He sounds like such a vibe.
I know, dancing in the moonlight as well.
Come on.
Woo.
Who does not want to hang out with this guy?
But I must admit, what really freaked me out when I was writing this was the thought of him climbing down.
Yeah, that's less good, because obviously he was short in stature, so would have looked like a child climbing down from the gibbet. Not here for that at all. Highwayman was such a I hate to say it because I know they robbed and killed people or whatever, but were they a little bit cool? I feel like they were a little bit cool.
Remember when we're talking about morality of murder?
Yeah, I know. And here's me being highwaymen are the ultimate bad boys, you know?
This is the thing. I don't know much about them, except they were literally just men on horses most of the time, yeah?
I think so. They were just men on horses. There was particular stretches of road that were notorious for highwaymen. They'd do a lot of like this guy, faking injuries, you know, they'd stop carriages, rob people, and then go and sell what they had robbed. Sometimes they killed people, but not all the time. And it was just seems like it was just a massive problem for a period of time in England, where you just had highwaymen everywhere. But if you were ever going to have a highwayman, Jenkins Petherill is a highwayman's name.
Oh, yeah. His mum was like, how do I make sure my son turns to crime?
Specifically, highwaymen, because we all know they are the bad boys of the criminal world. You know?
She was like, my son needs to be cool. Yeah. So, I mean, bless him, he was tiny. No shade to any short men, you know. I'm also 5'2", so I can't throw any shade. Yeah, that is pretty tiny.
But listen, he made the most of it. He used it to his advantage.
People were shorter then as well, weren't they?
People were shorter, and I just feel sometimes you read about executions and stuff. Why were they so extra?
Oh, yeah.
Was there any need to be covering people with tar?
That's what I want to know.
What I know it's because it's hot and painful and whatever, right? But come on, was there any need for it? When you read about the way that people executed people back in the day, I do just feel God, as a collective, we're not okay. We're not okay.
No, I mean, I went to Amsterdam recently and went to the Torture Museum there. And like just some of the things that people think up, you're like, really?
Yeah.
And like in the same vein, when I went to Malta this year, I'm making up for lost time, okay? When I went to Malta, we went to like a dungeons as well, and there was all these like torture things, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, like the things
who sat
we have
down
done to each other.
Whose job was it to sit down and go, how can I inflict as much pain into somebody as possible without killing them? Like somebody sat down and designed those items, and then somebody else sat down and like physically made them. Like you ever see the pear? It's like a metal pear-shaped object, and you put it like in a woman's mouth or in her vagina or whatever, and then it expands out.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, I know. And I literally saw it in a museum one time, and I was like, somebody made this.
Yeah.
Knowing what it was going to be used for.
Yeah, it's really weird for me as well, because I think I come from a profession where everything we make, even though people sometimes think we're torturing them, it is made to like help people.
Yeah.
So for that to be like the complete opposite, just like goes against what I've literally been trained to do.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
So it's so weird, though I'm sure many people who I've put catheters in and stuff, bless them, would be like, well, you fully tortured me. But it's just, yeah, it's so odd. And like I always think like pulling people's limbs and stuff.
Because I do understand that a lot of it was, you know, allegedly preventative. You wanted to make it as gruesome as possible so people wouldn't commit the same crime. But then but there was also just a bizarre pleasure in it as well, definitely.
Oh yeah, because,
you know, like for real.
I always find it amazing that people like to go to watch executions, but everyone hated the executioner.
Yeah, how does that happen? And I don't know if you've ever read, there's a really famous piece that Dickens wrote about going to one of those executions. And he wrote this kind of like a short article, I suppose, about his experience of going to an execution in London. And it sounded like it was just feral. Like it was just, everybody was pissed all day. It was like sex workers everywhere, people having sex everywhere, like people fighting in the streets. It was a full on like full on festival vibes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just for the day of the executions. Like
I was going to say it sounds a bit like Pride, but Pride is more like ordered than that.
Yeah, like Pride with less executions.
Yeah. It's yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I would have probably gone though.
That's the thing, because we all say, you know, as people living in the modern world, we all say, no, I would never, how did people do that? How did people go and see executions, blah, blah, blah. But you probably would have gone, because it was normal. It was considered a normal Sunday afternoon thing to do.
I fully think people would still go to like death row, like lethal injection and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
If they could.
Yeah, of course they would. They'd go out of a morbid curiosity and likely dress it up as, I just want to see justice being served. It's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, no, because I mean, we could talk about that all day, but yeah, it's very weird that he also said that he was, I don't know if it was just the way, I don't know, body hung with chains reportedly covered in tar. So he could have still been alive, which would make sense. But at first I thought that they executed him first, and that's why I was like, I have no idea why
they
what
would
the purpose of that would be.
cover him in
But
tar.
makes sense. I also wonder, is he really still under that grass junction, or is that just a good bit of like, ooh?
I always, you know, those bits of stories where you're like, that can't be true. I always just choose to believe them anyway. Especially when it comes to old folklore. I'm like, yeah, sure.
I also have definitely probably driven past this and had no idea. So now I'm going to be like, ooh.
Every time you'd be like, is he coming for me?
Jenkins.
To dance in the moonlight?
Honestly, like, we'll put that song on. He'll love it. He'll be like, oh my God, was this made for me? And I'll be like, yeah, mate, it was.
Made for you, babe.
So because both of these stories freak me out a little bit, and I don't really know why, I researched them in the daylight and I don't know why they freak me out, but it was something did.
Sometimes it happens with stories though where you don't expect it, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm scared now.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't have my feet hanging off the chair. I had to put them underneath me. So regardless, this next and last story is less scary and more funny. And one I must admit I've been wanting to speak about for a while because I just think it's brilliant. Apologies in advance to anyone who doesn't like profanities, but one, I think we've already sworn, and two, fuck it. Now, technically this isn't a Bristol haunting. This is a Somerset haunting. But I figured near enough, and I made the rules, so I'll break them. Here is our last story today. In February of this year, 2022, ghost hunters were called to investigate the beauty spot in Somerset, known as Quantock Hills, after reports were made of a rude and angry spirit telling those visiting to fuck off. According to witnesses, a woman in white is said to haunt part of the hills known aptly as Dead Woman's Ditch at Overstowey, which was named after the murder of Jane Wolford by her cheating husband in 1789. Ghost hunting couple Christine and Dave Thomas travelled to the area in 2020, where they said they picked up a voice before Christine was shouted at and told to fuck off by what she called nasty evil spirits. Other locals have reported seeing ghosts in the area, with one telling how they were around 17 years old and driving down a road when they saw a bright white figure at the side and so slowed down. The figure appeared to be a woman dressed completely in white, old-fashioned clothing, and they couldn't take their eyes off of the apparition as they drove past. However, neither could they quite bring themselves to turn back round for another look, and so they continued to just drive back home in complete shock. Another person said they have seen what looks like a tall figure with a dark long coat outside the pub on the edge of the road. However, when they checked back, there was no one standing there. Of course, many skeptics believe that the swearing ghost first mentioned is just a prank, either a hidden speaker somewhere in the picturesque scene, or just someone hiding nearby shouting profanities at walkers. But personally, I know what I would be like as a ghost. Angry at anyone messing up my favourite walking spot, or disturbing me when I'm trying to be at one with nature. And that would definitely warrant a fuck off or two from my ghostly lips. And I just love this.
If I'm going to be dead for all eternity and nobody brings me back to life, which I am expecting, let it be known that I want somebody to bring me back to life when I die, I'm going to be telling people to fuck off too. I'm going to be doing it.
I reckon my luck would be that I would become a ghost who can't summon up the energy to communicate.
Oh,
so I can't
imagine how annoying that would be.
And that would be my luck, because I'm a chatterbox who is a loudmouth who, makes her political views known. It's just I'm a general nuisance.
Same.
Nuisances forever. Because I'm a general nuisance, I know that it would just be like, right, you can't make a smell, you can't make a sound, you can't move things. And maybe all that anger would mean that one day I'm just able to go, fuck off.
Oh, how good would that be if that was the culmination of all of your eternity of rage? Just you going, fuck off.
I'm here for it. And I just love this. Just imagine you're walking through a beauty spot, albeit named after a murder. Walking through a beauty spot, and you just hear, fuck off. You're like, oh, I didn't realise I was in Bristol High Street. Jesus.
Or also you were walking through a beauty spot and you hear it and your first thing is, that's a ghost.
Yeah.
How is that your first thing?
Yeah, because I would honestly still assume teenagers. It's always teenagers.
Yeah, it's always teenagers. It's always somebody fucking around. My first thought would not be, that is a ghost who really wants me out of here.
No. And then that, if it was a ghost, would just annoy the ghost even more.
Very frustrating.
I mean, I would fully come back as a ghost who yells at people for littering, because if I see someone littering, oh my God, the urge to go up to them and be like, oh, what are you doing? Is so, I didn't know I can make that noise.
It was actually impressive. I'd pick up my litter if you did that to me.
Because I have that anger inside me as a living human, I feel like as a ghost human, if I could go up to people and just tell them to fuck off when they've littered or something, fully would.
Oh yeah, it'd be great. I think I'd do it as a live human though.
Yeah, one of my heroes is that woman. I don't know if you've seen the video. She's on a bike and someone litters out of their car, which really annoys me, because just keep it in your car. And she picks it up and cycles up to them and throws it back in their window.
What a babe.
Hero.
What a babe. Maybe, yeah. We need more people like her in general. Love it.
Yeah, I wish I had the balls, the lady balls to do it.
It feels like something that you do really impulsively, or at least I would. I do it impulsively and then be like, I can't believe I did that.
I'd be shaking afterwards.
Yeah. Really cycling away really quickly, terrified that they were going to say anything to me.
Also, on a bike, it's pretty good going, because they can just knock you off.
Ballsy. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely love it. But when I was writing, I think I more needed to end on this story so that I wasn't scared.
Yeah, fair. I think I'm immune. I've got like asbestos skin when it comes to ghost stories. Every so often one comes up that makes me go, oh, I don't like that at all. But most of the time I read it and then it goes into my brain and out of my brain very quickly.
It's weird because when I'm chatting with people about them, I'm fine. When Jess is telling me them on the podcast, I'm fine. When I'm listening to a ghost podcast, such as yours, or I listen to The Dark Paranormal, I'm like, if I'm listening and it's nighttime and my boyfriend's in bed and I'm awake doing like washing up or something, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm going to listen to something funny or some music instead. Because suddenly it gets to me. Yeah,
and suddenly you're like, is there somebody standing behind me? I don't know.
Is there someone in my tiny garden watching me as I do the dishes? Very weird if they are. Tiny garden. But
but they might be there. You don't know. Also, just as you mentioned, The Dark Paranormal, do go and listen to The Dark Paranormal if you don't already.
Very good.
Kev is a gem. We did a paranormal investigation together, which you can find on YouTube. I had to think about that. I was like, what's that thing called? What's that thing called where people put videos?
Tube of the U?
The Tube of the U's. Massive shout out to Kev. Go and listen to Dark Paranormal. It's great.
Yeah, it is. It's one that definitely scares me as well. I love listening to people's paranormal stories. And I was brought up that ghosts are real. I wasn't brought up that it was a opinion.
Okay. It just was a thing. Just was a fact.
Yeah, it's like my mum brought me up that the Loch Ness Monster was a real thing.
I mean, it is.
Yeah, but she didn't bring it up as like a cryptid or like anything like that. She just was like, oh yeah, the Loch Ness Monster is this animal that lived in Scotland, and just showed me a documentary on it, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's the way to do things, I think, sometimes, because it's very magical thinking, and I love it. Yeah. And also, the Loch Ness Monster is real. Your mum was right.
Yes. Nessie, we love you. This is actually now
Nessie, if you're listening.
If you're listening, drop us a like, rate us, comment, subscribe.
Leave a little review. Make sure you let us know that it's you.
Give us your version of events. Yeah. You know?
We want to hear it from the cryptid's mouth, Nessie. We want to hear your side of the story.
Nessie breaks her silence. Oh no. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It has honestly been such an honour for me as a fan of yours. When I reached out, I was like, this is probably not going to happen, but you know, shoot your shot, take it.
Oh, absolutely. I was delighted to be asked. I was like, yeah, I'd love to. Oh. I love going on podcasts. It makes me really happy. And like I said earlier, it has been an honour to be on your podcast as two people who do a podcast that is kind of an ethically sound true crime podcast. I very much respect what the two of you do. Like, it's a difficult thing to do, and it's a difficult thing to do well. And I very much respect what you guys do.
Thank you. We appreciate that. We hope to never change. We hope to never lose sight of it. That's definitely something that, you know, I think it's easy to do. I think it's happened before. I hope not with us, but I think it can happen. And I just hope that we're able to keep it peachy.
You will, of course.
Thank you. Once again, you can find Emma's podcast, Real Life Ghost Stories, wherever you're listening to us right now. You can also find her on Patreon as well. So have a little look for her there if you enjoy her content. I think you will. And yeah, just thank you so much for coming on. Make sure you check out Emma to get your spooky fix. Send us some ghost stories as well, because we are running out. And anything else you want to end with, Emma?
Yeah, maybe. No, I don't actually. I don't know why I said that. No, I don't have anything else I want to say. Yeah, just also, if you haven't already, go and leave True Crime Coven reviews, because it does make a difference to people when you leave them reviews.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
That's all right.
So there's nothing left for me to say really, except stay spooky. Hey guys, if you have a ghost story or a case suggestion, please email us, truecrimecovenpod@gmail.com.
You can also find us on Twitter @truecrimecoven or on Instagram and Facebook, where we are @truecrimecovenpod.
Also, it would mean the absolute world to us if you could rate us wherever you're listening to this right now, be it Spotify, Apple Music, or if you're on YouTube, give us a little thumbs up, click that bell, get notifications every time we post.
Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts from.
Make these two witches smile. Thanks, witches.